You have a superpower and you don't even realize it. Your whole life, you've had this superpower. In fact, when you were growing up as a kid, you used the superpower many times. And every time you tried to use it, teachers, your parents, people around you stopped you. In this video, I'm gonna explain to you how to regain that superpower that you lost. And it's sad that so many people have been taught to not do this. They've been taught that it's unhealthy. They've been taught that you need to be a well-rounded person, a mature person, person who is focusing on what society wants you to do instead of what you want to do. Do you remember when you were a child and you would have some hobby or some interest that nobody else really cared about but you, and you would spend hours and hours and hours doing it? You would spend hours and hours and hours looking at some bugs or building a toy model or hiking in the woods or fishing or drawing or painting or skateboarding, whatever it was. Do you remember that? Do you remember how you could hyper focus on one thing and spend hours doing it, weeks doing it, months doing it? You could talk about this topic to anybody for hours. You became an expert in something. Do you remember when you used to be that way? And do you remember how in school you used to not be interested in whatever they were teaching you? Whatever the topic was, you didn't care. You just couldn't focus on that. But the one thing that you did care about, you became an expert at it. There were no mandatory reading sessions. There was no homework. You just did it. I remember being like that when I was a kid. I remember when I was a kid, I was obsessed with turtles. I went to the library every day, got tons of books, adult level books, and I would go through them and read and research as a child. I remember that. And I'm sure you have a similar story. But I also remember that the adults around me told me that you need to focus on your homework. Stop wasting time doing this. Stop wasting time doing that. Get busy. If you don't do this thing, you're going to fail. You're going to get bad grades. And I remember little by little that passion that I had was taken away from me. And I'm sure the same thing happened to you. They said you had ADHD, but what they didn't realize is that no, they were wrong. The hyper focus that you were displaying in whatever thing you were passionate about, that was what you needed to succeed in life. You didn't need to become a worker, a random slave that follows orders and does what he's told. That is not what you needed to have to become successful. What you needed was passion. And that's what this video is all about. That's your secret power. The power to become obsessed with something, to become super focused on whatever it is that you're interested in. I'm not talking about slight interest. I'm talking about eating, breathing, sleeping, whatever it is. That is what you need to become successful. That is what you need to become who you really were meant to be. A lot of people have been taught that you need to be well-rounded and you need to forget about your passions because they're not practical. And if you don't, you won't succeed in this world. That you're being simple-minded, you're being one-dimensional. But they don't realize that that's what you need. You need to be one-dimensional. And I learned this as an adult later on in life. I did not become a software engineer because I wanted to make money and own a supercar and live in an expensive area. I did it because I was obsessed with a project. I was obsessed with learning how to code. It was all I did. I focused on it 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000%. I talked about it to everyone around me. I learned everything I needed to learn in detail, became an expert at it. It really doesn't matter what it is. If you become obsessed with it, if you lock in 100%, if you go back to that childhood mindset of not caring about anything else other than that, you will become successful in that, and other people will seek you out. All you need to do is figure out how to package it as a service or a product, and it will become life-changing for you. Every person that I've met that has become a super millionaire, that's how they did it. It started with a simple passion, and they became obsessed with it. They spent every waking hour researching and learning and talking to other people about it, showing other people their light. They weren't ashamed of it. Unfortunately, a lot of people have been taught to hide their hobbies, to be ashamed of what they're passionate about, to think that if somebody has a passion that they really just have on their sleeve and tell everybody about that they're weird. And the problem is that if you hide it, you'll never become successful at it, because for you to become successful, it's not just being obsessed. You also need to be able to show other people what you're obsessed about. That's how you get clients. That's how you get customers. That's how you're able to make a product or a service out of it. Because when you start talking to a bunch of other people about your passion, about your obsession, some of those people will be interested. Some of those people will be like, whoa, that's actually an interesting thing. Do you sell this? Have you thought about doing this or that with it? And they'll give you ideas and they'll point you in the direction of making it a product or a service. That's what happened to me with coding. I built my app and I talked to other people about it. And eventually other people were like, why don't you get a job becoming an engineer? And that's when it clicked. Oh, I can get a job doing this. And I went and I got one. The same thing would happen with any other hobby that you're super invested in. If you start talking to the people around you, you start sharing your passion on the internet, you start doing what I'm doing right now, making videos about it, you will get so many people that also become interested in that topic. You'll also attract other people that are interested in the topic. And who knows, maybe you might be the best one at it. And maybe those other people might seek you out for guidance. But if you are afraid and ashamed of what you truly are interested in, you won't be able to do that, because no one will know that you're interested in it. Nobody will know that you're the best. What is the point of being the best person at building model planes if nobody else knows? If you're just doing it in your basement by yourself. Too many times I remember as a child being told, you need to study, you need to focus on this or that. And most kids are not dumb. Most people are not stupid. They're just not passionate about whatever they're doing. When you're passionate about what you're doing, you don't need anybody to tell you what to do. You do it by yourself. You lock in by yourself. You know what I'm talking about. We all know what I'm talking about. When you really care about something, when you really love something, when you're really obsessed with something, you don't need anybody to teach you anything. You'll become an expert at that thing by yourself. You'll read every single book about it. You'll learn every little thing there is to know about it. You'll become so good at it that you'll be able to teach other people how to do the thing. But, like I said, unfortunately, that superpower that every human being has is stolen from you. It's beaten out of you, actually. And it's unfortunate because you could be so much more successful if you were allowed to express who you are as a person, as an individual. And the only way for you to do that as an adult, this is where the hard part comes in. The only way for you to do that as an adult is for you to separate yourself from everything around you, at least for a time, to find out who you are again, what you're interested in again, what your passions are. If you're an adult and you have no hobbies, your hobby is watching TV, your hobby is going to work, then you need to stop what you're doing because you're wasting your life. You need to take some time to really find what you are, who you are, what you're about, and then hyper focus on it. And ignore the people that are telling you it's unhealthy, because it's a lie. Every person that I've met that has made it big, that's how they did it. When you use your spark, your secret weapon, obsession, passion, love for whatever craft it is, you're not doing it for money. You're not doing it for clout. You're not doing it for fame. You're just doing it because you love whatever it is. Everyone around you can see it. And they might think you're crazy, but who cares? Let them think that you're crazy. It doesn't matter, because when you pull up in that Lamborghini a year later, that craziness had paid off. That's what happened with me. When I was writing code, when I was building my app, when I was learning the basics, I started telling everybody what I was doing. Oh, I'm writing code, I'm learning this, I'm learning that. And everybody asked me the same stupid question. Are you making money doing that? Who cares? You're missing the point. It's not about making money doing it. It's about becoming obsessed and becoming the best at it. And when I would tell them, no, it's a passion project, they would look at me like I was crazy. Some people laughed in my face, but nobody laughed in my face when I pulled up in the McLaren. When I pulled up in the McLaren, not one person laughed in my face. They changed their tune. They wanted to know how you do it. What you do. You can't force somebody to do whatever you're doing to become successful. If it's not their passion, if they're not unhealthily obsessed with it, it won't work. This is the reason why when people come to me and ask me, yo, how do you have a supercar? How do you have a $25,000 watch on your wrist? How do you live where you live? How do you have the job that you have? I always tell them, this is what I did, but forget about what I did. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? You don't need to follow the same path that I followed. You just need to find your passion and your obsession. Once you have obsession in your pocket and you're passionate, you won't need to be disciplined because discipline will come automatically. You'll find yourself waking up at 6:30 in the morning to do whatever it is you're doing. This freaking video, right now I'm doing it. You're watching me do it right now. Waking up at 6 in the morning to make a YouTube video, not because I want money or clout or fame, but because I'm passionate about getting my information, my ideas, my ideology out to other people. I'm passionate about creating the video. I'm passionate about getting the feedback from you, seeing you succeed because you watched something I told you. So you can come back and tell me 6 months later, I watched your video and it changed my life. I don't need motivation because I have passion and I have obsession. So go find your passion, go find your obsession, stop consuming content and go figure out what it is that you want to do in your life, who you are as a person, because it will change your life completely. That's the secret weapon that has been stolen from you. Obsession and passion.